Our nation used to believe that there was strength and purpose in taking the hits, learning from your mistakes and growing through the adversity. America is weak. Her sons are sickly and her daughters are decrepit. Our country now faces the consequences of enabling a participation trophy society. We are no longer the United States. We have become the nanny state. Our young men are taught that weakness is strength, that delicacy is desirable, and that being a soft metrosexual is more valuable than training the mind, body, and soul. Social media has weakened us, siphoning our men of their will to fight. So on this precipice of disaster, I ask the young men of this nation a question. Will you reclaim your masculinity? Will you become a man to be feared, to be respected, to be looked up to? Or will you let this nation's next generation be its final generation? With that, I yield back.
Madison yields back as he returned to Congress because he's been missing. Madison Cawthorn is on his way out, as we all know. He lost his primary a few months ago already, so he had no chance in the first place. But that's his parting words for Congress. Make sure you save America. What's up with these participation trophies and these non-masculine men? What's the matter? Metrosexuals. We need to strengthen our chins and put a cleft in the middle and bulk up and take some steroids, because that's what a man is. That's what Madison Cawthorn wants you guys to always remember, because we can't have men being feminine. Let's take a look at that picture that you guys are all picturing in your head right now. Madison Cawthorn, by the way, enjoying himself in lingerie, still a man. You're still a man, Madison. Someone maybe needs to tell him, you're still a man. It's okay. You don't have to push this narrative that you can't have your little fun surrounded by women with lingerie on. It was a fun night, I guess. But he has to play this role as he leaves office even now. I'm not even sure what the purpose of this is. What's his next steps? Who knows? But he's always had this whole thing about being a tough guy anyway, so I guess he has to finish off with that. Let's just have a little bit of a stroll down memory lane about Madison Cawthorn and his tough guy persona. Watch that.
Because if our election systems continue to be rigged and continue to be stolen, then it's going to lead to one place, and it's bloodshed. We want our country back, we want our culture back, and if you want to stand in the way of that, we will run you over. There's nothing that I would dread doing more than having to pick up arms against a fellow American. Our culture today is trying to completely demasculate all of the young men in our culture. If you are raising a young man, please raise them to be a monster. Kyle Rittenhouse is not guilty, my friends. You have a right to defend yourselves. Be armed, be dangerous, and be moral.
Remember that Zelensky is a thug. Remember the Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt and it is incredibly evil and it has been pushing woke ideologies, and it really there's the new woke world.
Man, that old rotted tree never saw it coming. So Dan, parting shots for Madison Cawthorn. Are you heeding his advice? Let's go ahead and inspire more manliness with men.
Yeah, I would like to, if we could, go back to the lingerie photo for a moment. A sentence I never thought I would say live on air on TYT. And I
don't know why you thought that. That's easy for this show.
Actually, yeah. When you were saying, it's interesting that Madison Cawthorn's talking a lot about masculinity and all these other things. I know what image you're thinking about. I was like, how is Jayar gonna play that video on this show? Because there are way worse things that are way more compromising in Madison Cawthorn's sort of like life and what he's doing. That I think, again, a lot of these things kind of painting him with these photos is a smear. Because like I was like in a frat at one point, and we did a contest where, like, to fundraise with sororities, we all ran in heels, and I killed that. And there's like something that is just like enjoyable as like being comfortable in your sexuality, like mine is a cisgender male, and just like doing something like out of the blue like that for other people's entertainment, but also like it's like something I wouldn't normally do. Like it's like, and if you would normally do that, then that's also totally fine. But this idea that Madison Cawthorn's attacking, we're not having regular men anymore, we're losing our society. Guess what? You're going to have regular quote unquote men. You're going to have traditional cisgendered men that exist and have no interest in, routinely dressing up in, lingerie or women's clothing. And you're going to have regular men or like people who are just like a little bit more, comfortable with these things, who will do it from time to time, just like Madison Cawthorn has on multiple occasions. And they're just okay with it because they're okay that these are just clothes, just things we put on our body. These are just social constructs to how lingerie and these things even look and fit to Europeans. So this is him trying to go into the culture war. I'll say one thing I'm disappointed in you, Jayar. You said, who knows what he's going to do after this? You and I both know. Podcast.
Well, everybody, can you keep up with all the podcasts? I can't. I mean,
Marjorie Taylor Greene never stopped. She was in Congress day of talking about her stuff, on her podcast. I'm like, yo, usually you wait until you get elected out to do that whole grift. But no, she's just keep doing it before, during, and after. You gotta respect it at a certain point.
Well, when you're not really working in your job that you were elected to do, then you have time for your podcast as well. It's just the way these things go. By the way, you talked about the manliness of people dressing up, and then you did the heel run in college and stuff. I've been in many manly situations. Many manly locker rooms. I was an athlete my whole life. Lots of stuff gets said in locker rooms. Remember when Donald Trump had his whole blow up that happened before in 2016? It's just locker room talk. Remember, it was just locker room talk. I know many manly men, big, strong guys playing football, basketball, running, and swimming, and all that did a lot of things in the locker room that didn't seem very manly or standing up to masculinity and not putting those things on. Bro, it happens. And none of them consider themselves any less manly after that. Neither did folks seeing it. People do what they're gonna do. They're humans, they're folks. But in order to appeal to the masses and act like you're this big time manly guy who for some reason should be followed because of that, you have to keep pushing this narrative. Maybe he'll I don't know, maybe he'll find himself one day and actually understand who he is. And it's not this persona that he's putting on, because you lost anyway. It didn't work out for you, did it?